Let's go right now and check out some real world news. Number one on this one, besides the terrible events that we documented earlier that had happened in the last week or in the last day, the president, Donald Trump, is in Asia. Kicked that off in Japan, met with troops in Japan, and also spoke to the troops, also played golf with the Prime Minister of Japan, Abe. And here's something you don't see real often when you think about foreign visits and you think about prime ministers and you think of presidents and you think, oh, that they usually don't have autograph sessions. But the Japanese came up with these hats. And the hats said, making alliances great again. So they both autographed the hats and showed them off for the media. And just doing this, seeing this, listening to speech, there were little snowflake heads all over America just exploding as to how inappropriate they think this is. You got about 3 to 7 years to, stew over this one. Next up is, we mentioned this earlier, and that was the New York City truck attack. Was very, very real news, along with the church shooting that happened yesterday. But this truck attack, to me, affected the people around me last Tuesday as much as anything I've seen since 9/11 in New York City. And when I say the people around me, I'm not talking about, the guys I'm on TV with, or even really the producers and whatnot. I'm talking about some of the real workers when it comes to doing television. That's the guys that are behind the cameras. That's the guys that are doing the lighting. That's the guys that are there day in and day out producing stuff. They were affected by this. They had family members that were down in this area. And when that starts striking that close to those people that are close to you, man, you really take notice of this. Again, though, this is a horrific thing to happen. But New York City is an incredibly resilient place. And as you saw yesterday, if you followed anything about the New York City Marathon, New York City bounced back just fine yesterday, had a flawless event. And by the way, that New York City Marathon was won by an American-born American, for the first time since the 70s. I'm going to guess probably since Joan Benoit Samuelson did it back in the late 70s. How about this story? Do you keep track of Saudi Arabia? Is it just this place that maybe the president visited about 6 months ago and you don't really spend much time thinking about Saudi Arabia? Well, you maybe should, because Saudi Arabia has got a little upheaval going on. And the crown prince is tightening his grip on power. Al-Walid is another prince who's invested in Twitter and several other large American corporations. And he was arrested. Now, in Saudi Arabia, they put you under arrest. Interesting way. You are in house arrest. This prince is, he and some other princes and ministers, in a Ritz-Carlton in Riyadh. Well, at the same time this was going on, there was a rocket launched that you may not have heard of from Yemen that Saudi Arabia has had a skirmish going on with forever. This rocket was launched from Yemen. It's a Iranian-made rocket launched from Yemen at Riyadh, which is the capital of Saudi Arabia. Now, it was intercepted by Patriot missiles that we have sold to Saudi Arabia, so there were no fatalities, and the wreckage fell in an unoccupied area. But these are the kind of things that are going on around the world that a lot of us aren't really aware of. Well, maybe this will help you be a little more aware, and you can look this up. This would be the crown prince, by the way, who will be the next ruler of Saudi Arabia. And he's a little more powerful for what's gone on there in the last 24 to 48 hours. All right.